Remember, you are stronger than you think. Don't believe me? We're about to prove it. Welcome back. This is Jen Lee, creator and host of I Need Blue podcast. Welcome to Season 3. This is a place where survivors of life events can feel they belong, are loved, understood, and my favorite, empowered. Sharing your story can become a part of your healing journey. I Need Blue is here to provide you the opportunity. Please note, I Need Blue does contain sensitive topics which could be triggering. Please seek help if needed, and remember, you always come first. I would like to thank Shar Good for composing and performing the introduction music. To find additional information about Shar Good, you can visit my website, www.ineedblue.net. There, you will find ways to contact me. You will find all of my podcast episodes as well as valuable resources. I Need Blue podcast is also found on all of your favorite podcast platforms. As you listen, if the message moves you, share the story with friends and family. The more we share, the more we learn, the more we can help. My guest today is Jonathan Wess. His cousin and him were childhood best friends. They enjoyed many adventures together and look forward to many years more. However, as time went on, it became apparent Jonathan's friendship was being replaced with drugs, including fentanyl. Jonathan witnessed his cousin in and out of jail, and like many loved ones, pleaded with him to please stop. His cousin is currently in prison. Jonathan read the arrest report and his heart sank. Today, as a paramedic with Brevard County Fire Rescue, Jonathan knows the horrifying statistics on how his cousin's life could end. He knows what it's like to have a close relative or friend who is struggling with addiction. And what is unique to Jonathan as a first responder is he knows what it is like to get the call about an unresponsive person suspected of overdosing, or worse, someone who is in cardiac arrest and their parents just found them. He has witnessed multiple angles of this ever-rising fentanyl crisis. Jonathan, thank you for serving our community as a paramedic. You are saving lives, and I know from prior conversation, your goal is to save more lives by sharing your story. Thank you for being my guest, and welcome to the I Need Blue podcast.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Absolutely. I would love to talk about cousins for a minute because I think they are a very special family dynamic. I grew up with two cousins relatively close in age who lived in Detroit, and they would come up every summer and stay with my grandfather and me and my younger sister. We had the greatest times with them. And I found that even though I don't have as many memories with them as you would a sibling, the memories are vivid, like they're fun, and I really remember them. Tell me a little bit about your cousin and your relationship with him.
So from 1990, when we moved down here, we literally lived less than half a mile from each other. You know, we would go down to his house, he'd come up to my house, and I can always remember the fun things we did. We had this area that we would go fishing at. We called it the Bay because we lived in Palm Bay. So we would go down there and we'd go fishing. We would ride skateboards, you know, everything kids would do. You know, we would build forts. We would engage in neighborhood, like little competitions with all the neighborhood kids. We would randomly go and just dig a hole in the woods and be like, all right, we're good for the day. You know?
Yeah, the things we did.
Oh, yeah.
Before social media entered our world.
You know, so we would do stuff like that. We would go up to the Palm Bay West Shopping Center, ride skateboards up there. Oh, my God, we made BMX bike trails through the woods. At one point, we had a half pipe in his yard, you know, for skateboard and things like that. So we spent a lot of our time together. Those are going to always be the memories that I remember, I keep, and some other memories too. But I try to live on the good memories. I don't try to remember all the bad. I'm not going to lie. We got into our fair share of fights. We may have gotten to a few fights, but we never let it get personal. At the end of it, we shook each other's hands and went on, thinking that we were invincible at times. I'm not going to lie. There's stuff that probably should have killed us, but we were very invincible at that age.
Absolutely. I think many of us look back and are like, wow, we did that.
Yeah, wow, I survived that?
Yes, absolutely. I completely get it. Now, as you got older, obviously you went into more of a first responder field.
Yes.
And what direction did your cousin go?
Well, he kept doing his skateboarding stuff and got himself in trouble with that, with the law. For a while, I thought he would clean up, but he was more of a use his hands to do something. For a while there, he was working for an air conditioning company. He was working, doing this. He was more of a construction type of person, which awesome. I think those people there are the backbone of society.
Absolutely. I have 2 boys, so I get it. My oldest is more academic, and my youngest is he's a mechanic in the Marines. He's much more hands-on. So I completely get it. And we need both of them.
Exactly. Once I saw the path that he was going down, I didn't like it. So over time I had to separate myself from that. It hurt, but.
Was that in high school, like around that time?
Yeah, around that time, junior high school time frame. You could see a change in him. And a lot of people have came up to me who, I knew from back then, lost touch with, and then we started talking again. They've watched him go down a path that was not a good path. But we all make those decisions in life. As much as everybody tried to tell him, hey, get on this, do this, we all make those decisions on which way we want to go. And he made a decision that pushed him down that road. I can remember the first time he went to jail, he called me from jail. I'll remember this to the day I die. We're talking and he's like, yeah, I can't wait to get out of here so we can go back out and go fishing, do this, do that. And, I was happy about it. I'm like, yeah, we need to do that. We need to get out and go fishing. We need to go out and, hang out a lot more. But when he got out, none of that really happened. I believe it was because of the decisions that he made as an adult, as a young man, and the people he wanted to hang out with. When you see people go down that road, you can only hope that sooner or later they're going to turn their life around. And that's what I was doing. My cousin was my best friend. Seeing him go down this road hurt me.
So the first time he got out of prison and he wanted to go fishing with you and all of those fun things, but it didn't happen. How much did addiction play into the fact that he went back into his old behaviors?
When he got out, I think it was maybe a couple months, and you could see that he was back to the way he was. And I honestly, to this day, believe in that it was the people that he was with. The one time I did see him when he got out of prison again was at my grandfather's funeral. We're adults at this point in life. Me, my brother, and him, we had a nice little heart-to-heart sitting outside. We told him he needs to knock it off. You need to stop this stuff. There's nothing good that's going to come of it. At that time, we told him, hey, look, there's fentanyl in this. You can die from this. And at that time, I think we started the hard love. Nobody wants to see their family member go back to prison.
Right. Can you define hard love, what that looked like?
We were standing outside of the funeral home, and I flat out looked at him, and we looked him dead in his eyes and said, it's as stern as we could, if you continue this, you can die. You could see that it did register with him. He did say something that sticks with me. He says, yes, I have seen it in prison. I don't want this to happen to me. I'm not going back to that. It seemed sincere. And then again, he went back to those same people and he picked up where he left off. That was the last time that I saw him. And that was almost 2 years ago. And that was the last time I talked to him. With him being in and out of the prison system, I mean, it's like you want to see him, but at the same time, you don't want to see what they have become. Because you have these memories over here of childhood and everything, and you just don't want to see what happened to them. I was told one time by somebody, that's so heartless. I'm like, it's not. I'm afraid of what he's become. I'm afraid of seeing what they have become. I don't want to lose those memories and have those memories tarnished somehow. And when I saw him at my grandfather's funeral, memories weren't tarnished. He still looked like the same person. He looked a little thinner, but I didn't look at him any different. He was still my cousin. I didn't agree with his life choices, but he was still my cousin.
At any point, was there conversation about mental health or rehab?
I'm not 100% sure on that, because when we really didn't hang out that much, he moved on in his life. He was hanging out over here with these people. So I'm not 100% sure, but I hoped, and I know this is going to sound kind of bad, but I was hoping that him going to prison would have been like his rehab, because they have to
detox.
Yeah, you would hope they'd stay clean in prison, and they would catch the drugs before coming in. But we all know that it still happens. But he looked fine when he came out, like he didn't touch anything. And, I was like, oh, man, maybe this is the time that he has finally kicked it and it's gotten clean.
I feel like listening to you continually went through a roller coaster of emotions, of the hope and then the disappointment, the hope and then the disappointment, and the wanting to be supportive and then not really knowing how to be supportive. Is that a fair statement? Because I have to imagine that others feel the same way who are in your shoes.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. When you get a phone call saying, hey, yeah, I'm coming out soon, and we're going to do this, we're going to hang out more, we're going to do this. You're like, yes, my friend's back. And then it doesn't happen. You feel like you're let down. And then when you see him again, it looks like he's doing good. You're like, awesome. Yes, maybe this is it. And then you hear he got arrested again, and spurred your intrigue into looking at the arrest reports. And I think that there actually caused me probably a little more harm actually reading what happened. I know he's in prison right now, and I can just hope, and hope that this is the last time. So it is emotional. It does wear a lot on you when you have a family member that you were so close to for so long on a opiate, on fentanyl or pills or anything like that. It is, coming from an experience, it is a roller coaster ride.
And how do you then cope with that?
The way I cope with it is I just remember good times before we made our own roads and went down our own paths.
I like that you found a very healthy way to cope with it and to hold on to the positive memories. I think that that's great, because that's still very much a part of who that person is. Can you share a part of that report where your heart sank, where you were like, wow, maybe I wished I didn't read this?
When he got arrested, and again, all this is public record too, and I read what they had on him, the drugs that he was carrying. It wasn't just fentanyl. It wasn't just heroin. It was this drug, that drug. It was a multitude of drugs. And he was apparently, in the police report, I believe it said something like he was picking it up for a friend, bringing it somewhere else. And so my heart immediately sunk up. Oh my God, now they can get him with possession with the intent to sell and distribute, trafficking, all these laws that I know of are going through my head. And I'm like, this is it. This is the last time. He's going to go away for 20, 30 years. But then I was like, I can't help him now. He's in the jail, and the only thing I can do is hope and pray that this is a wake-up call. And it happened during COVID. One realized, even through a pandemic, people are going to get their narcotics. One way, shape, or form, they're getting their narcotics. They're getting their heroin, their pills, their fentanyl.
I have a tough question for you. As a paramedic, knowing that your cousin was just picked up with possession, not knowing if his intent was to sell it or not, but say it was to sell, he could be selling that to somebody that you get the call, an unresponsive call from somebody.
That crossed my mind when I read it, saying that he was picking it up and bringing it somewhere else. because at that time I was still working in the field. So where he was picked up was in my run area. So that thought definitely crossed my mind of, where is he taking this? Who is it going to? And where did he get it? Is it in my area? Am I going to run a call on these people one day, or these individuals one day? It crossed my mind. It definitely crossed my mind. But as bad as this sounds, at least that was picked up off of the street and got destroyed. And the one thing that helps me with that is, at least I know that stuff he had on him was not going to kill somebody.
Right. You weren't going to get a call because of those drugs. Can we talk about the calls that you go on?
Yeah.
And what you see as a paramedic?
Oh, yeah. I could definitely tell you, one of the biggest things that I've always had a hard time with when it came to overdoses is the family that was there. That was the one thing that hit me the most, is they didn't know at that time if their loved one was alive or if they were dead, until we work a patient and we would get Narcan on board and they would come back up. Or in the event that it was too late, the ones that it was too late were the hardest ones, in my opinion, for me, because the family's there and they don't understand. Why aren't you doing something? Why aren't you helping them? And then when they get told, the emotional breakdown that a lot of times the moms have, and the dads, you think when you see somebody's dad and you're like, man, that guy looks like he's a heartless truck driver. And then you see him crying. When you look at these guys and you think that these grown men are tough and you see them break down, it hits you so hard that in my mind, I'm like, if that individual knew what their family was going through at that point, one question that always popped in my mind would be, would they even went down that path in life? Because I think when we show up, we do our job, we give the Narcan, or we do whatever else we have to do, any other advanced life support measures, and we get them back. Family is so appreciative that their loved one is there. Sometimes it's a wake-up call to the patient, like, ooh, I can't be doing this because my family just found me in my bedroom overdosed. But when you have the ones that are what we would say class 4, which is dead, it breaks my heart listening to the family, listening to them cry, listening to them beg and plead to come back. And in my head, knowing that this is it, there's no coming back. It chipped away a little bit of me over time. It really did. There are times you run on a certain patient multiple times for overdose. There may be 1 or 2 times where they have taken it too far, where you're used to running on patient X, and now you're running what we call a code 99, a cardiac arrest on patient X, and you're like, man, we try to get them help so many times. We talk to social workers at the hospital. We've done this. Sometimes in the back of your head, you think, man, it didn't help. It didn't help. Nothing is going to help. But then you take a step back and you're like, this is what helps me the most, is, like I've been saying, people make their own paths in life. And sometimes you just can't change them. But people will make their own path and then want the help to change. And that is one of the biggest things that in my position now that I'm trying to find. I'm trying to get these people to find that little 2 trail off of their path to proper help that they need. I have so much passion behind this. Just these people need to find that path to get off of the main path, to get back on track and get a better life.
Yes, and individualized, because everybody is on that path for their own particular reasons. How long have you been a paramedic?
17 years, 16, 17 years. Worked for the department 18, 19 years.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's a long time. I want to also talk about, your mental health and what you do when you, I mean, that's a lot of calls. people die in many other forms.
Yeah.
So I also want to address what you do to stay healthy and positive, to give hope and support to other first responders who are out in the field as well. But before I do that, let's take a minute and talk about how fentanyl has changed the game.
Oh, how fentanyl has changed the game. So, fentanyl, just enough to cover a pin on a needle, is enough to cause a fentanyl poisoning and kill somebody. With that being said, fentanyl, they're finding it in everything. These kids growing up now, they're like, I only smoke marijuana. I only smoke marijuana. Well, guess what? Fentanyl is now found there. I've done cocaine before. Well, fentanyl is found in that now. Oh, I've only done heroin a few times. Fentanyl is found in that now. No matter what, fentanyl is being made into pills now, and rainbow fentanyl. Fentanyl is taking over everything because it's just, in my opinion, it enhances the high. People want that euphoria. Well, these people who are making the fentanyl on the streets, they're not doing it in a pharmaceutical way. They're doing it in a, let's give as much as we can so we can enhance this high so we can make more money. That is where it is. It's money, money, money. I've been questioned, well, if people are dying from it, why aren't these drug dealers caring about it? The best way you can put it is this: their client dies, there's 2 or 3 more behind them.
Right.
And that's where we have to start getting these people into a treatment and trying to get them away from that to save those lives.
Yeah, it's called the murder drug. And for our listeners, in December, there was an episode where we discussed fentanyl, even more specific information on fentanyl. Go back to December and you'll find an episode in there about that. Thank you for sharing that. So you've been doing this 18 years. What is the difference in the amount of calls that you have been getting where there is an overdose involved?
Oh, our overdoses have spiked. And I can safely say one day, one area had 2 back-to-back overdoses. So you're seeing a huge increase in overdoses from when I first got hired. I mean, in 2003 timeframe, we were looking at, you may run an overdose every couple of shifts. And now you may run 2 or 3 overdoses in one shift. You can just see it steadily increasing over time. Now I'm starting to see fentanyl mentioned. So I'm starting to see an uptick in that too, is that they're actually saying, yeah, there's fentanyl involved.
I have to ask, in regards to your passion project and your path, what do you say to people who live here that say, well, that's not in my neighborhood?
What do I say to them? Good question. I look at them and say, yes, it is. I said, it is in every corner of this county, every neighborhood in this county. There is heroin, fentanyl, drugs, opiates in your neighborhood. You can sit there and tell me, oh, I live in this prestigious gated community in Bayside Lake, Suntree, Vieira. And I'm like, it's there too. They don't realize it because a lot of times they don't want to realize it. They don't want to believe that it is going to affect their neighborhood when it's going to affect their neighborhood no matter what. They think that if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. That's not how we need to be living with this, and that's not how we need to be looking at this. We need to be looking at it of, it's here and it's not going away. We have to start treating all of these substance use disorders. If your neighbor is on a narcotic, an opiate or something, we need to try to engage them, to help them. And nobody wants to realize that. Nobody wants to think that it could happen to them and that it could happen in their neighborhood. You can't sit at a map and point at it and go, it is not here. It is not here. Because it is. People are just really good at not letting people know.
Yeah, that's what I'm finding as I talk to people about it, especially in August, because it was, International Overdose Awareness Day. We also had the Central Florida Fentanyl Summit by Blue Plaid Society.
I point people to their website. Look at Blue Plaid's website. Look at their Blue Plaid Angels. I have a friend on there. I tell them, these people in these neighborhoods, look at it. Look at that site. See how bad this is. It is in your neighborhood. You cannot say that it's not.
You can't. And it's interesting because you want to have the conversation. Like, we're not trying to invoke fear.
No, we're not.
But you got to have reality and have conversations with your kids.
Yeah.
They're never too young. With internet and social media, they're never too young now. You just have the appropriate conversation for their age.
And especially you tell them, don't take a medication that's not in the original bottle. You tell them if somebody tries to say, hey, here's a Tylenol, and they pull it out of a bag, you don't take it. One pill can kill, definitely. And if it is a unknown medication to you, don't take it. If it's not from a prescription bottle that is yours, we need to push a lot of these messages to the children of the community. Everybody's like, oh, adults, this, from people I talk to. You also have to look at children. The most innocent people in our community is the children. And, they don't know things that we do as adults. They don't realize, oh, okay, you're giving me a Tylenol for my headache. They don't know to look at it.
Well, and the friend may not even know they're giving their friend a pill.
Exactly. And I think that's what scares me a lot too, is the children with this rainbow fentanyl that we've been hearing about all over the news. It feels like with rainbow fentanyl, there's a targeting of children now. The most innocent people in this world are being targeted now. And that scares me. We can't keep our kids inside 24/7. They need to be kids. They need to be running outside, running in the woods, climbing trees.
They do. But as a parent, though, I think we need to be even more aware. The best advice I hear from people on my podcast is you need to have conversation with your children.
Yes.
Every day.
Yeah. Every day about don't get into other people's cars. I remember hearing that as a kid. Now we got Lyft and Uber. Don't take medication from people you don't know. Wear your seatbelts. All this stuff. We have to have these conversations with children, especially when it comes to opiates. I'm always hopeful, no matter what. It could be, the worst day going on. We got this, that, everything. And I'm always hopeful. I'm hoping that, the schools are doing a good job. I'm hoping parents are doing a good job. I'm hoping everybody, grandparents, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, are trying to teach the younger generation the dangers of everything out there.
I had a conversation with my 22-year-old about it. I'm just hearing a lot about this fentanyl, and just share it with your friends. And not that any of them are even doing drugs, but they might have a friend who is.
Yeah.
You got to start conversation.
Exactly. And for families that they have a loved one that they know are substance use disorder and they know that they're taking opiates and all that, best advice I can give a family member is try to get them into treatment, try to get them into every program. We got programs starting up from every aspect. Get nasal Narcan for them. Have that ready. Even if you don't want them to know you have it, don't tell them, but have it ready just in case, because they could be the first line in their treatment and saving their loved one's life. Always have a plan to save somebody's life wherever you're at. And by having a family member having Narcan with them can truly save their loved one's life.
Are you able to send me at least one location where the general public can get Narcan? I mean, I know we got some at the fentanyl summit, so I guess, and somebody is listening, they're like, well, I don't even know where do I get that?
A good place is call Circles of Care. Circles of Care can give it out. If you call Journey Pure, they may point you in my direction. Call our fire rescue headquarters in Rockledge and ask to speak to the community paramedic. And they'll talk to me, and we'll keep it anonymous, and I can give it to them. When we were at that fentanyl summit, Assistant Special Agent in charge for the DEA told me, get it out in the hands of people, get it where it needs to be. Yes, I will point people in every direction to get Narcan. If they need it and they contact somebody at Journey Pure who contacts me, or if they contact Fire Rescue Center and they talk to me, we will get them the ability to have the medication to save a life. And it's free of charge.
That's great. What is the phone number to the Rockledge Fire where they could speak with you?
It's 321-633-2056. And I believe my extension is 59763. Or you could press 0, talk to the nice lady downstairs, and say, I need to speak to the community healthcare person, the community paramedic. And she'll transfer. And even if I'm not around, it goes straight to my cell phone. So no matter what, they can get in contact with me, and it would be completely anonymous. I don't write down where it goes. I just write down how many I did that month. It gets reported to with DCF, who does this program, and they just want numbers of how many have been given out. No names, no addresses, no nothing.
And how has that changed? Like the past 2 months or 3 months?
In the past 2 to 3 months, I see a lot of things in our CAD saying Narcan has been administered. Can't say it's from my few trucks that hand it out, or from me, or from COC, or any of these other places, but it is actually having a good impact when you're able to see Narcan's administered. And furthermore, we've given it to our Ocean Rescue, the nasal Narcan. Again, when people say it's not in my neighborhood, Ocean Rescue has it. They see a huge uptick on the beach. Our volunteer fire departments, we have 3 of them within the agency. So far, I've gotten MIMS in 4 communities. Next month, I'm getting 2 MIMS, and those volunteer agencies are going to be carrying nasal Narcan to administer to people. We are really seeing that we need to get a lot more Narcan into the community. I gave 30 out last night. As much as I can, I try to give it to the community. I try to give it to the community. People want it. They call me. I can meet you at your residence, or I can meet you at the grocery store down the road at this time, and things like that. We will make sure we can get the medication to save a life to somebody.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I will put all of that information in the show notes as well. So it will be easily found, as well as the information for Circles of Care, Journey Pure, Blue Plaid Society, and also Deborah Meyer has a local group called Momanon as well, for moms of Brevard County who have lost a child or dealing with a child in drugs. She's a great support system for that as well. So all of that will be in the show notes. Jonathan, I just want to end it in speaking about your mental health, first responder mental health, what you are doing to stay positive and healthy, and advice that you would give to other first responders who are out there helping us in communities all over the United States.
So mental health is definitely one of the biggest things in EMS, in fire, law enforcement. And there are times that we need to step back and realize, maybe I need a mental health day. Maybe I need to call in sick and take a mental health day. What I do is I have my activities. Seeing my dogs, playing with my dogs, that's one of the biggest ones. I love my dogs. One of them's 14 and he's going blind, so every now and then he runs into a wall. Still love him to death, even though he's getting it up there in age. But I have a little puppy who's 2 years old that I play with. I like sport shooting. I like fishing. I like, a lot of hands-on stuff that make you do concentration, that make you use your brain and shut everything off around you, concentrating on one thing. Fishing, when you're just out in nature, able to hear the birds, the animals, and just having a great time with yourself, and if somebody else comes with you. Another good thing is just listening to music. I can't tell you how many times that, and you guys would be the first people to hear this, I listen to classical type of music sometimes just to relax, find something to concentrate on other than work, other than what's going on in the world. Makes everything not easier, but focused. The worst thing you can do is run out and pick up a bottle and drink. That's not going to solve anything. Your problems are still going to be there. Your issues are still going to be there. I will say, yes, I have went and seeked EAP for calls before. I actually have talked to an individual about what I've had to deal with. I have talked to my friends about it, talking, getting out there and talking and letting people know that, hey, this is going on in my life right now. I need to talk to you. I need some help. Or going and talking to people, even if it's just going out to dinner with your ex-brother-in-law and talking about it like I do it. Just do it. 1, talk about it. 2, be relaxed. Go and do something fun for yourself. And 3, realize everything you did it to the best of your abilities. You did everything you can. Once you can realize those 3 things, especially that third one, it took me a long time to realize that I did everything I could. I did the best I could.
Yeah, and one of my prior guests is a former police officer in Australia. And the best advice she gave is she was like, you need normal friends. You need friends that are not first responders.
Yes, 100 times yes. Even though those people can relate to what you're going through, in the first responder field, there's always that thing of cowboy up. And I'm telling you, normal friends are the best way to go. Granted, everybody's like, oh, you hang out with your ex-brother-in-law. He's becoming a cop. He's being sponsored through the police academy by an agency. I'm not going to stop telling him what's going on with me because of that. But normal people, normal friends, people who are so far out of the first responder field that they have no clue what you do on a daily basis is one of the best ways to go. Now, I'm not saying, tell them all your gory stories because you're going to traumatize them at one point, but having a conversation with them like, hey, I really have this happen to me at work. I need help. What should I do? And let them give you advice. Those people, you don't need to traumatize them with your stories, but you need to ask them for their opinion and what help that you should get. And those types of friends would be like, hey, man, I know we need to get you somewhere and help you.
Absolutely. Final words of wisdom.
Final words of wisdom. Best thing I can say is always be yourself in everything that you do. Don't try to be somebody else. Live your life the way you want to live it, because we only get one life, and live it to the fullest. Take those vacation days and just be yourself.
I love it. Jonathan, thank you for being my guest on the I Need Blue podcast.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure.
Great. Maybe we'll do this again. There's always something to talk about.
Yes, there is. I enjoyed it, and I look forward to coming back.
Absolutely. Sounds great. This is Jen Lee with the I Need Blue podcast. Thank you for listening today. You can find all of my episodes on www.ineedblue.net, as well as all of your favorite podcast platforms. And remember, you are stronger than you think.